Daf Yomi Tractate 30, Sanhedrin, page 37b. Um, the last two words of the previous Amud were Veshema Tomru. The court says to witnesses, and perhaps you will say, now top of 37b with the words Ma Lanu Vilatzara Hazot. Velo kfar nemar v'hu ed o ra'a o yada im lo yagid v'gomer v'shema tomru ma lanu lachuv b'damo shel ze v'halo kfar nemar be'avod reshayim rina. Why would we want this trouble? Perhaps it would be better not to testify at all. But be aware, as it is it not already stated, and he being a witness, whether he has seen or known, if he does not utter it, then he shall bear his iniquity. Leviticus 5:1. It is a transgression not to testify when one can do so. And perhaps you will say, why would we want to be responsible for the blood of this person? But be aware, as is it not already stated, when the wicked perish, there is song. Proverbs 11:10. Okay, that is the Mishnah. Now, the Gemara, the Talmud starts here. Tanu Rabbanan, Ketzad Me'omed. אומר להן, לשם כך ראיתם? שרץ אחד חברו לחורבה, ורצתם אחריו, ומצאתם סייף בידו, או שרץ אחר חברו לחורבה, ורצתם אחריו, ומצאתם סייף בידו, ודמו מטפטף, והרוג מפרפר. Okay, the sages taught in a Braita. How does the court describe testimony based on conjecture? The court says to the witnesses, perhaps you saw this man about whom you are testifying pursuing another into a ruin, and you pursued him and found a sword in his hand, dripping with blood, and the one who was ultimately killed was convulsing. If you saw only this, it is if you saw nothing, and you cannot testify to the murder. Tanya, Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Shetach, Ere ben Echama im lo ri'iti. אחד שרץ אחר חברו לחורבה ורצתי אחריו וראיתי סייף בידו ודמו מטפטף והרוג מפרפר. ואמרתי לו, רשע, מי הרגו לזה? או אני או אתה, אבל מה אעשה שאין דמך מסור בידי? שהרי אמרה תורה, על פי שניים עדים יומת המת. היודע מחשבות ייפרע מאותו האיש שהרג את חברו. אמרו, לא זזו משם עד שבא נחש והגישו ומת. It is taught in a Braita that Rabbi Shimon ben Shetach said as an oath, I will not see the consolation of Israel if I did not once see one person pursue another into a ruin. And I pursued him, and I saw a sword in his hand, dripping with blood, and the one who was ultimately killed was convulsing. And I said to him, wicked person, who has killed this man? Either you or I. But what can I do, since your blood is not given over to me, as the Torah states, at the mouth of two witnesses, or three witnesses, shall he that is to die be put to death. Deuteronomy 17:6. and I did not witness you killing him. The one who knows one's thoughts shall punish this man who killed another. The sages said they did not move from there before a snake came and bit the murderer, and he died. Behai bar nachashu, be'amar of Yosef, chen tani Chizkiah, miyom shecha ves hamikdash, af chashid b'Sanhedrin ava mitzvos lo batlu. Lo batlu, ha batlu, ela din arba mitzvos lo batlu. The Gemara questions this account, but was this murder fit to die by being bitten by a snake? But doesn't Rav Yosef say, and so the school of Chizkiah also taught, from the day that the temple was destroyed, although the Sanhedrin ceased to be extant, the 4 types of court-imposed capital punishment have not ceased. The Gemara asks, have they really not ceased? But they have ceased, as court-imposed capital punishment is no longer given. Rather, the intention is that the halacha of the 4 types of court-imposed capital punishment has not ceased to be applicable. But it happens like through Shemayim, probably. Yeah. Mishit chay b'skila, o nofal minagag, o chaya dorasto. The Gemara explains how so. If one would be liable to be executed by stoning, either he falls from a roof, or an animal mauls him and breaks his bones. His death is similar to stoning, in which the one liable would be executed is pushed from a platform, and his bones break from the impact of the fall. O mishin is chayav sreifa, o nofal b'deleka, o nachash mikisho, mishin chayav hariga, o nimsar lemalchut, o listin bayin anav, mishin chayav chenek, o tova benahar, o ma, o met, saronche. The Gemara explains how so. For if one would be liable to be executed by stoning, either he falls from a roof or animals maul him and break his bones. This death is similar to stoning, in which the one liable to be executed is pushed from a platform and his bones break from the impact of the fall. For one who would be liable to be executed by burning, either he falls into a fire, or is burned, or a snake bites him, as a snake might cause a burning sensation. For one who would be liable to be executed by slaying, to decapitation by the sword, either he is turned over to the authorities, and they execute him with a sword, or robbers come upon him and murder him. One who would be liable to be executed by strangling, either drowns in a river, or is choked by the water, or dies of diphtheria, which causes his breathing to become constricted. According to this, a murderer whose verdict in court would be death by stoning should not be bitten by a snake. Ameri hu chet achriti havibe tamar mar mi shitchev shte mitot bezdin nidon bechamura. The sages say in explanation that that murderer had another sin for which he deserved execution by burning. As the master says, the one who is found liable by the court is to receive 2 types of court-imposed capital punishment is sentenced to the harsher of the 2, and burning is considered harsher than a death by slaying. Me'umad v'chule. B'din nefasheshu delo amrinan habdin mamras amrin. Come on. Rabbi Yachad, the Tanya Rabbi Yachad, Omer, Gamal Ocher min Gamalim v'nimtza Gamal harug b'tzido b'yadua shezeh harago. The Mishnah teaches that in cases of capital law, the court warns the witnesses not to testify based on conjecture. The Gemara comments, one can infer that it is only in cases of capital law that we do not rule based on conjecture, but in cases of monetary law, we do rule based on conjecture, in accordance with whose opinion is the Mishnah taught. It is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Ab Acha, as is taught in Braita to Sefta Bavakama 3:6. Rabbi Acha says there was a running male camel that was rampaging among other camels, and then a camel was found killed at its side. It is evident that this rampaging camel killed it, and the owner must pay for the damage caused. The Braita indicates that Re'acha rules that cases of monetary law are decided based on conjecture. Okay. Aid repeat aid to come. Nefashesu de la Marina Veha Dini Mamanos Amrina Vatanya Im Amar Uhu Amar Li Shani Chayev Lo Ish Ploni Amar Li Ishu Chayev Lo Lomar Klum Ad Shumar Bifneinu Oda Lo Shu Chayav Lo Matayim Zuz. The Gemara asks, but according to your reasoning with regard to that which the Mishnah teaches, that the court warns the witnesses not to provide testimony based on hearsay, one should infer that in cases of capital law that we do not say that testimony based on hearsay is allowed, but in cases of monetary law we do say that testimony based on hearsay is allowed. But didn't we learn in a Mishnah 29a, if the witness said, the defendant said to me, it is true that I owe the plaintiff, or if he said, so and so said to me that the defendant owes the plaintiff, the witness has said nothing, meaning his testimony is disregarded. These two statements of witnesses are examples of testimony based on hearsay, yet they are not valid cases of monetary law. A witness's testimony is not valid testimony unless he says, for example, the defendant admitted in our presence to the plaintiff that he owes him 200 dinars, as by admitting the debt in the presence of witnesses, he rendered himself liable to pay the amount that he mentioned. Alma, we see. Afagav de psilim b'din mamanos amrin lehu b'din nefashos anami. Afagav de psilim b'din mamanos amrinan lahen b'din nefashos. Evidently, although testimony was based on hearsay, is invalid in case of monetary law. We tell the witnesses to be aware of this in capital law. Here too, with regard to testimony based on conjecture, one can say that although testimony based on conjecture is invalid in cases of monetary law, we tell the witnesses to be aware of this in cases of capital law. Haviyodin kule. Amar Rav Yehuda b'rei Rav Chia. V'lam yishas sakayim v'hevel echav chaburos petzios shelo haya yodem ehechan yisham yoitza ad shegia l'samachoy. The Mishnah teaches that the court would say you should know that cases of capital law are not like cases of monetary law, and would reference the murder of Abel by Cain. Rabbi Yehuda, son of Rabbi Chia, says, by employing the plural term for blood, the voice of your father's blood, Demei, cries out to me from the ground. Okay. Kol Demei achicha tzoakim elai min ha'adama. Okay. Genesis 4:10. The verse teaches that Cain caused multiple wounds and multiple injuries to his brother Abel. As Cain did not know from where the soul departs, he struck him multiple times. This continued until he came to his neck and struck him there, whereupon Abel died. Rav Yehuda b'rei Rav Chia miyom shepascha haaretz es pia v'kibaltu dama shel hevel shuv lo pascha shneimar mikanaf haaretz zimros shemanu tzvilat tzadik mikanaf haaretz v'lo b'pi haaretz es v'chizki achi v'tiftach haaretz es pia amar lei l'ra pascha l'tov lo pascha. Okay, and Rav Yehuda, the son of Rechia, says, from the day the earth opened its mouth and received the blood of Abel, its mouth has not opened again. As it is stated, from this corner of the earth have we heard songs, glory to the righteous. Isaiah 24:16, one can infer that the songs are heard from the corner of the earth, but not from the mouth of the earth, as the earth never again opened its mouth. Chizkiah, Rabbi Yehuda's brother, raised an objection to Yehuda, son of Rabbi Chia. The verse states concerning Korach and his assembly, and the earth opened her mouth, and swallowed them up, and their households, and all the men that appeared unto Korach, and all their goods. Numbers 16:32. Rabbi Yehuda, son of Rabbi Chia, said to him, it opened again for a deleterious purpose, but it did not open again for a constructive purpose. Rabbi Yehuda raised Rabbi Chia, Galus Mechaperes avoin mechza mikara ksif v'ha'isa na v'nad v'sok ksif Yehoshua not. And Rabbi Yehuda, son of Bechia, says, exile atones for half of a sin. Initially, it is written in the verse concerning Cain that he said, I shall be a fugitive and wander in the earth. Genesis 4:14. And ultimately, it is written, and Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod. Genesis 4:16. Rabbi Yehuda, son of Bechia, equates Nod with Nod and understands that Cain was given only the punishment of being a wanderer. Exile atoned for half his sin, thereby negating the punishment of being a fugitive. Amar Rav Yehuda, Galus mechaber shlosh dvarim shneimar koyim Hashem, koyim Yehoshua be'ir hazot, yamus b'cherev bera'av v'dever, hayotzu v'nafal kshe al hakazdim hatzoyim aleichem v'chaya v'hoyta lo nefsho l'shalal. Rav Yehuda says exile atones for three matters, three types of death. As it is stated, so says the Lord, behold, I set before you the way of life and the way of death. He that abides in this city shall die by the sword, and he by the famine and by the pestilence. But he that goes out and falls away to the Chaldeans that besiege you, he shall survive, and his life shall be for him for prey. Jeremiah 21:8-9, indicating that exile from Jerusalem will save one from those three deaths. Rab Yochanan Amar Galus mechaperes al kol shneimar ko amar Hashem kisvu et haish hazeh ariri gever lo yislach biyamav lo yislach mizaro ish yoshev al kisei David u'Moshel od beYehuda ובתר דגלה כתיב בן יחניה ישר שלתיאל אסיר שאיברתו עמו בית האסורין שלתיאל ששולחו אל שלא כדרך הנשתלין כמירי שאין האיש המתברס מעומד. Rabbi Yochanan says exile atones for all transgressions and renders the sin like a new person, as is stated concerning King Jeconiah, a descendant of King David. So says the Lord, write this man childless and a man that shall not prosper in his days, and no man of his seed shall prosper, sitting upon the throne of David and ruling any more in Judah. Jeremiah 22:30. After Jeconiah was exiled, is written in the sons of Jeconiah, the same is Asir, Shaltiel his son. 1 Chronicles 3:17. The verse employs the plural sons of, although he had only one son, Shaltiel. Asir, literally prisoned, teaches that his mother conceived him in prison. Shaltiel, literally planted by God, teaches that God planted him in a way atypical of most plants, meaning the people, it is learned in a tradition that the woman does not conceive when she is standing during sexual intercourse.